Have you ever wondered if history truly repeats itself? Today, we're putting two of the biggest financial earthquakes of the last century side by side: the Great Depression of the 1930s and the Great Recession of 2008. They sound similar, but were they? Let's find out. It's 1929. The Roaring Twenties are in full swing. The stock market is a rocket ship fueled by borrowed money, a practice called margin trading. Everyone's a genius investor, and optimism is the only currency that matters. Then, Black Tuesday hits. The Wall Street crash isn't just a dip, it's a complete implosion. The speculative bubble bursts with a deafening pop. Banks, having gambled away their customers' money, collapse overnight. Millions of people lose their life savings in an instant. The defining image? Men in tailored suits, once the masters of the universe, now standing humbled in breadlines, their dignity stripped away. Fast forward about 80 years to 2007. The new gold rush isn't stocks, it's housing. Banks have cooked up a new recipe for disaster: subprime mortgages. These were risky home loans given to people who couldn't really afford them. But the real trick? They bundled these toxic loans together, slapped a safe label on them called mortgage-backed securities, and sold them to investors worldwide. It was a house of cards built on a foundation of bad debt. When homeowners inevitably started defaulting, the whole global financial system shuddered and began to collapse. The symbol of this era wasn't men in breadlines, but families watching their homes get foreclosed, their American dream turning into a nightmare. So how bad was the damage, really? Let's talk scale. During the Great Depression, the destruction was apocalyptic. In the United States, unemployment skyrocketed to a staggering 25%. 1 in every 4 working people was jobless. The global economy shrank by an incredible 15%. Industrial production was cut in half. Over 5,000 banks failed, taking people's hopes and savings with them. Poverty wasn't an exception. It became the new normal. Hope was a rare commodity. Now let's look at the Great Recession. While devastating, it wasn't quite the same apocalypse. Unemployment in the US peaked at 10%, still a terrible number causing immense suffering for millions, but less than half the peak of the Depression. The global economy dipped by about 2%. It was, as one expert put it, a financial system near-death experience. The patient was on the operating table, heart stopped, but the doctors managed to restart it just in time. It was a crisis, not a complete societal collapse. This brings us to one of the biggest differences: how the governments reacted. Back in the 1930s, the initial response from the US government was, well, nothing. The prevailing philosophy, championed by President Hoover, was that markets would fix themselves. Laissez-faire, they called it. Let it be. It was a catastrophic miscalculation. The economy didn't heal. It went into a death spiral. It wasn't until Franklin D. Roosevelt came along with his New Deal that things started to change. The government stepped in massively, creating public works projects, jobs programs, and social safety nets like Social Security. This was the birth of the modern American welfare state and financial regulation, creating agencies like the FDIC to ensure bank deposits and the SEC to regulate the stock market. In 2008, the playbook was completely different. Learning from the mistakes of the 1930s, governments and central banks around the world acted with lightning speed and overwhelming force. There was instant global coordination. The key words were bailout and stimulus. The US government bailed out the very Wall Street firms that caused the crisis, along with major automakers, arguing they were too big to fail. The Federal Reserve slashed interest rates to practically zero and started a program called quantitative easing, essentially pumping trillions of newly created dollars into the financial system to keep it from seizing up. The system survived, but it came at a cost. The perception that Wall Street profits are private, but their losses are public. This created a legacy of deep inequality that we still feel today. Beyond the numbers and policies, what was the human cost? The Great Depression was a story of profound, widespread suffering. Families were torn apart. Desperate, homeless people built shantytowns they bitterly named Hoovervilles. In the Midwest, a man-made environmental disaster, the Dust Bowl, destroyed farms and forced a mass migration of displaced families. It scarred a generation, teaching them a fear of scarcity and a deep-seated frugality that they carried for the rest of their lives. The Great Recession also brought immense human pain. Millions lost their homes to foreclosure. Retirement savings vanished. The stress led to a documented mental health crisis. Unemployment hit the middle class hard, hollowing out communities. But there were key differences. Technology and a more globalized economy meant that for some, the recovery was faster. The wealthy, whose assets were in the stock market, bounced back quickly as the market soared on the back of government stimulus. But for many working and middle-class people, the recovery never fully arrived. Their wages stagnated while the cost of living continued to rise. So what did we leave behind? What is the aftermath of these two gigantic crises? The Great Depression fundamentally redefined capitalism. It led to the creation of Social Security, modern labor laws, and the idea that the government has a responsibility to regulate the economy and protect its citizens. Ultimately, the massive industrial production required for World War II is what truly pulled the world out of the economic abyss. The Great Recession redefined something else: trust. Trust in Wall Street, in the government, in the entire financial system was shattered. This disillusionment gave rise to powerful social movements like Occupy Wall Street, with its famous slogan, "We are the 99%. It also sparked a quiet revolution in finance. The creation of Bitcoin in 2009 was a direct response to the bailouts, a new kind of decentralized money that no bank or government could control. This birthed the entire world of crypto and fintech. A generation of millennials who came of age during the crisis lost faith in the traditional path of getting a good job and investing in the 401k. They began to question the system, birthing a new financial rebellion. In the end, what's the moral of the story? The Great Depression teaches us that greed without any rules can destroy nations. The Great Recession teaches us that greed that finds ways around the rules can destroy trust. Both crises reveal the same brutal lesson. When money stops being a tool for exchange and becomes a high-stakes game, ordinary people become the collateral damage. History may not repeat itself exactly, but it certainly rhymes. Understanding these rhymes is our best hope for not composing the same tragic song all over again. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this breakdown interesting, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the events that shape our world. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Did your family have stories from the Depression? How did the 2008 crisis affect you? Let's talk about it. See you next time.